You did everything right. You got the degree, you got the house, you got the salary, you got the job, everything is in order. So, why does it feel like you're living somebody else's life? Maybe because you are. Maybe you're not living out your life, you're living out a pattern, something that's going on autopilot mode, something that says to you in your head, it says, I'm okay as long as I'm seen as a success in their eyes, in the eyes of other people around me. I'm not saying quit what you're doing, but I am saying don't quit on yourself. This is about seeing what the hell is running you on the inside. In this video, I'm going to show you how. So last week, I get on a session with this very smart lady. It was evening time, I remember, and she comes on. I feel like she had just gotten back from work because she was still in her work clothes, very smartly dressed. Start getting to know each other. She told me she works with one of the big four audit firms in the world. For those of you who are in corporate, you might know which firms I'm talking about. And she's working as at a managerial level. She's the youngest assistant manager on her floor, so she's doing quite well for herself. I ask her, why are you here? She says to me, I'm so confused about my work. I'm so confused because I don't know if this is really what I want to do. She says to me that when I read my report, so she did the pattern assessment report before our session, which is what I usually make my clients do. So she did the pattern assessment report. So then she says to me, I read my report and it made me want to cry because I just feel so bad about my career. I want to fix it. I want to figure out what I really want to do because I just don't feel like I'm made for the corporate world. And I asked her how long she's felt this way. She says, I've felt like this forever. I just always knew. But the thing is, the pay is really good. And I just don't want to leave because I don't know where to start. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if it's worth the risk. But the thing is, I only feel happy on the day I get my salary. The rest of the month, I just feel horrible about the way I'm spending my life. So I asked her, so what would you want to do instead? So she tells me, I like to paint. So she paints in her free time. And she even has art shows and galleries. Like she's got one happening soon in Goa. I said, wow. I said, yeah, I would love to do that, but I just can't seem to take that leap. She says, I just can't seem to take that risk. So then I pulled up her report. So her report said achiever. So I showed it to her. And then I started reading it to her. There's a section in the report. If you do the report, in fact, you should do the report. There's a link in the description below. If you're curious about knowing your own patterns, go down there, click on that report, click on the link, and it'll take you to the assessment, and you'll get your own report, which is amazing. But I took her to the section of the report that says common limiting beliefs, and in that I made her read out the common limiting beliefs over there. I'll read them out for you. It says, image matters more than the truth. I have to be the best to be loved. If I slow down, I fall behind. And failure means I'm worthless. And I asked her, which ones of these are holding you back? And she said, all of them. She had all of them. She basically said, I'm just super scared to fail. Here's what I said to her. I asked her, what are you outside of this pattern? Who are you outside of this image of a corporate manager, successful, big audit firm? Who are you? Silence. I said, that's scary, right? Like, if you're not this person, if you're not this successful corporate professional, who are you? If you're somebody who is feeling stuck right now, you want to make a change, you want to do something that is true to you, you want to be more authentic, but you hide this part of yourself from everybody else. You don't want people to see because, what would people say? If you're like somebody like that, you can try this out. We did this exercise with my client, and I want you to just take a few deep breaths. Take a few deep breaths with me over here. And as you take these deep breaths, I want you to think about the question that Imagine if your parents, your friends, your colleagues, imagine they didn't judge you for how successful you are, how much money you make, how well known you are, how many followers you have. They didn't care. And just imagine, and keep breathing, don't forget to breathe. Just imagine they actually wanted you to do something that was authentic to you, that you wanted to do with all your heart, with all of your life. What would you actually do? If you're getting like an answer at the back of your mind, hold on to that answer. My client got an answer. She said, I'd paint. Just no hesitation. She said, I would paint. If I had a chance, if nobody cared, if I was invisible, or I was, people were vouching for me, I would paint. So by the end of this session with my client, I knew something had shifted inside of her. She ended by saying, you know what, I'm gonna take this step. I'm gonna take a first step. I'm gonna start painting more often. I'm gonna start thinking of an idea or a plan of action so that I could maybe get some help or some support as I try to figure things out, so I can finally quit my job. And the light that was behind her eyes as she had this breakthrough, oh, I wish you were there to see it. Sometimes it's our deepest, darkest fears that we don't want to face, and we put this image in front of that fear because it's something that we just don't want to admit. We don't want to admit it to other people. We don't want to admit it to ourselves. But the greatest power that you could have is the gift of finally coming to terms with that is your shadow. That is that thing, that part of you that you just do not want to acknowledge. Because that shadow holds some wisdom. It holds some wisdom that will help you break free. These are the patterns that control our life. This is the hidden code, the hidden thought virus that keeps your operating system from performing at a completely another level. And if you're interested in leading a life at a completely different level, or at breaking free of your patterns, at figuring out why you do the things that you do not want to do, or why don't you do the things that you should be doing, that you really, really, really want to do, but something keeps holding you back. If you are curious about that, go to the description, the chat box. There's a link over there. Click on that link. There's an assessment. Do the assessment. Get blown away by the report and start your journey. Start your journey by becoming aware about your pattern, your hero's journey. And like always, make sure you subscribe to this video if you liked it. If you are struggling with your career and you want to really do something, you want to go big, right? You don't want to play it safe anymore. I mean, I did that for about 12 years of my life. I started working at the age of 17, and till about 29, 30, I worked a job that I did not want to do, but it gave me a sense of security. This was my pattern. I valued safety, security over anything and everything. And I thought that, you know what, this job is going to keep me safe, it's going to keep me secure. And that was just something that I'd been taught to do. But the truth was very different, right? The truth was that that job was not paying me nearly enough that I needed to be paid in order for me to be really safe and secure. It gave me a regular salary, but it also capped me. It capped my potential. It capped how much I could earn. It took so much of my time away, so that I couldn't really do the things to fulfill my potential. I couldn't learn new things. I couldn't learn about money. I couldn't learn about investment. I couldn't learn about business. And so when I finally took the step to be true to myself and do something that lit me up, when I stopped building my life from fear and I started building from truth, it completely set me free. Because fear will trap you. Building from fear feels like death. It feels horrible. You feel like the dogs are chasing you all the time. you're completely being hounded by ghosts of the past. But when you allow yourself to follow your own truth, to follow your own passion, it's not always easy. I'm not saying that it is. It's not the point. But it gives you a kind of energy. You feel better about yourself. You feel more worthy. First step to that is to become aware about your patterns. Become aware about the fear that your patterns are protecting you from. It's time to face that fear. This is Jay, and I'll see you in the next one.